Well, two great rugby-playing nations ready to do battle here, although in this form of the game, in women's seven, certainly New Zealand will start as very, very strong favourites. South Africa outplayed in their opening game by Canada, and New Zealand blew past Kenya. And every indicator that New Zealand will do the same to South Africa here. We talked about Australia being the favourites in the women's sevens, but New Zealand, I think you could almost consider them joint favourites, even though they've had to give second best to Australia during the sevens series this season. Sarah Cox, the referee for this one. But New Zealand looked very, very impressive against Kenya in their opening match.
I'd say almost as impressive as South Africa's kit. That's how good they were.
It is a lively strip. So Tyler Nathan Wong is the woman who takes the restarts ordinarily for New Zealand and the conversion attempts. She always does this sort of a elaborate switch of direction. Doesn't quite work, that one. Gives enough time for South Africa to take it, but then the contest on the floor looked as if New Zealand had taken it through Fitzpatrick, but still with South Africa. And taken in for them by Verushka Grain. Penalty though to New Zealand, and they take it quickly, and immediately South Africa caught unawares, and straight through goes Sarah Goss, the captain, for the opening score, and it was just far too easy for Goss.
And far too easy. So much made about this New Zealand's attack, but we're seeing already how impressive their defence can be. One penalty gain, South Africans not paying attention, as you mentioned. And Sarah Goss slicing through the middle, route one in rugby. If the gap's in front of you, you take it. It's almost shocked to her. She looks around and sees no one there. But the captain, Stunis Maori, in New Zealand, the cultural architect of this team, fundamental in how they play, gets one of her own.
No, it didn't take too long for New Zealand to get going in this game. The South African players looking around at each other, wondering who is at fault, because somebody certainly was. The gap was large for Goss to go through. And it was converted as well by the woman who takes the restart now. And Tyler Nathan Wong, this time it works pretty well, the restart, and there is Nathan Wong. His father was grandfather rather was a rugby league player. Almost space appearing on the outside, and now it is there, and it's going to be another run in for the try, and this time it is Portia Woodman who will go under for the try again. She was in fine form in the opening game, and the try is coming thick and fast for New Zealand.
It's a lovely little bit of deception out on the right-hand side. If you have Woodman outside you, it's going to hold defences. As soon as Fitzpatrick played about with the defence a little bit, bought that half gap. She doesn't often need space. She can run through people, yet alone run into space. But Woodman there, riding the tackle, getting a stride going. Not going to be the last time we mentioned her name in this game, yet alone the tournament. She is a formidable scorer.
Nathan Wong's conversion off the post. We've seen a few of those today. You can't afford to slip off tackles against New Zealand. Woodman does have great strength, kept her legs pumping there, but a costly error. Alan Bunting, the New Zealand coach, and watch the dance of Nathan Wong to get us going again. This one perhaps just a fraction too long as well. South Africa able to secure a ball. Well, the thump comes in from their captain Sarah Goss, first try scorer, and suddenly South Africa, even with the ball, are feeling the pressure, and you know there's pressure being felt when you're kicking the ball away.
The South Africans looking for the leading shot there on the right. Roos, she's by far the quickest. Nadine Roos, number 9. Okay. She's got the wheels. If you get in behind, you got a chance. But the New Zealand team perfectly happy for South Africa to have the ball because they're going nowhere. Then when they get it, such as this set piece, so much firepower across the board.
So Tyler Nathan Wong throws in, hits her target, and New Zealand come again. Good bit of interplay, and Fitzpatrick carries it up over halfway, and Tyler Nathan Wong releases supporting crew down this line side, but Portia Woodman can't quite get her hands on it. It's a little knock on. South Africa will have the put in at the scrum.
Woodman there from the line out. She was lifting at the front, stayed left. Her and Goss usually absolutely telepathic, so a bit of a shock to see an error happen there.
You see the level of not just the skills of the players, but the level of coaching is evident with sides like New Zealand, Australia. Again, that's funding as well that is put in. They have time together as well to train, because as you say there, everyone seems to know their roles, and there are very, very well worked moves.
And full-time professionals, these women as well, makes a big difference.
Scrum advantage over.
And New Zealand with ball, and with another try you'd think coming, but then the big knock on from Michaela Blythe.
Well, first time we've really mentioned Blythe. She is a phenomenal scorer on the World 7 Series. Looks to hit that inside line there. You can see the gap she's going for, but just a little bit of inaccuracy in the pass. You need to put the ball right across the late cut, as it's known in sevens. A popular tactic from these outside runners, but needs to be executed with good accuracy of that offload inside pass.
Crouch, bind, set.
New Zealand putting real pressure on at the scrum as well. And South Africa
Now it's lost.
are feeling it at the moment, and New Zealand look to turn it over, but illegally, penalty to South Africa. Woodman up so quickly in the tackle, and South Africa not a huge amount doing down that side of the field.
Just wait there.
And Woodman once again ferocious in defence, and ball turned over. That's where the pressure can get you in defence, and it brings another try for New Zealand. It's going to be a run-in for Michaela Blythe.
Well, the South Africans now wearing out the turf in their own 22. They just can't get out of it. Ball turned over, shifted one pass, and Blythe, as we mentioned before, a great finisher. She's got pace, she's got balance. Brazier puts it on a plate for her. She's diminutive, but she packs a serious punch. Well, that was an easy one of hers.
Yeah, had to be quick. You could see the pace that you talked about of Nadine Roos, but she had to turn around and begin that chase back. Couldn't quite get there. Conversion attempt is just wide. And the final few moments of this first half will have time enough for the restart. Let's see what Tyler Nathan Wong can do with this one. Just looking for it to just go beyond 10 metres, give your own players a chance to get it back, as they do there. And so every chance that New Zealand will have another score in this first half, the way they're playing, and then with the tackles being missed, an opportunity comes once again, and it's a race for the line. Broughton will win that race. And so New Zealand do have another score, just to make their task in the second half that little bit easier. And again, that was a perfect example of the skills of sevens from the restart, which was so well placed, gave possession back, and just one missed tackle, that's all it takes in sevens. And Broughton still had a lot to do, but she is quick.
She is. She's one of these underrated players in this New Zealand team. So much made of their finishers, but it's having people in the middle that can hold defences. She checks up, she squares up, roosts in front of her, gets on that outside, and it's a matter of gliding in home now. So good with ball in hand, this New Zealand team. You mentioned it's turned into a bit of a training ground routine now. Restart, reclaimed, possession held, and capitalised on out wide.
So that is the end of the first half. A dominant half once again for New Zealand. They lead 22-0 at the break.
Probably just a tidy up text me. It looks to be real brutal on yourselves, just those little kitchen passes. get a bit deeper, pull back and get the ball away. They're going to turn it over all the time if you're going to attack into that space.
And guys, the 10, be a little bit deeper. Because now we're flat and we can't get the ball over. So let's get small. There's opportunities.
Okay, 2 seconds, I get nipped from the side. I thought you said we needed to go. Okay. No worries, mate, no worries. Sorry. Okay, now we're ready, yep.
Ready to get the second half underway at the Robina Stadium. And South Africa, can they find anything against this rampant Black Fern side? And the kick just a fraction long. And it gives New Zealand an opportunity to show once again what they can do. Here's Broughton, that little hitch kick step, and then gives, and Blythe goes flying. It's well taken down on this occasion, gets back to her feet. Tension from Marouz there on the ground, trying to secure it for South Africa. Still with New Zealand though. And here is their captain, Sarah Goss, gives it out wide, and Woodman's away once again. And the initial acceleration, turn of speed, got her clear. And again, within 50 seconds of the restart. And New Zealand score. Again, the boos from the crowd. You're allowed to take time. South Africa could get someone back there to put pressure on or to put it down, so it's not her fault, just taking a breather. I would as well, playing sevens, take every chance you can get.
Yeah, a bit unfair from the crowd there. You want to be witnessing the marvels of Portia Woodman time and time again. If it means she recovers and does more of this, then let's see it. But there, just that track speed, that outside arc, just so balanced when she runs. And great that Michaela Blythe's on one side, she's on the other. Threats all over the park with Broughton pulling strings in the middle. I mean, this crowd not quite appreciating the full efforts that she makes, and a bit of peer pressure perhaps puts it down.
An Australian crowd largely, we must remember. Tyler Nathan Wong puts it in. Woodman is done for the game and indeed for the day. Such an impressive player. I mean, they are across the New Zealand squad, but Woodman in particular is so dangerous. Tyler Nathan Wong. A familiar routine by now, and secured well by New Zealand. So there we are once again from the restart. Ball secured, and South Africa under pressure once again. As Williams is through, and it's going to be another canter to the line. And now Williams is in, making a name for herself in the game, often described as sibling of Sonny Bill Williams, but becoming a star in her own right.
And she's one of these grafters in the middle, usually turning over ball, but here she's on the receiving end of it. Outside arc again, the South African defence fragmented, and it all comes from that restart. You get the ball with this New Zealand team, and they're going to score. It's as simple as that. These polarised games, South Africa not on the World 7 Series, not with as much of a programme in place. They're trying to grow the game, but they're against some of the world's best here. You feel for them, but they'll be enjoying themselves out there, albeit a bit of a hammering against this All Blacks team.
Well, we have to remind you, it's fairly obvious that we're still in sort of fairly early stages of the development of the women's sevens game. And indeed in quite a few sports in terms of parity and finding that strength and depth. So you have Australia and New Zealand who are so very impressive. Then a bit of a gap, Canada, England, other sides trying to catch up. But as you mentioned, South Africa, who went to Hong Kong, they had the qualifying tournament there for the World 7 Series. They lost out in the final to China. So China will get into the World 7 Series, which is the sort of staple diet for most of these squads. And it's getting, as I say, a lot of it comes down to funding within the countries, and New Zealand and Australia have very well-funded women's programs.
Both of you must get the binds, okay? Allow that.
It's a big event for these South African ladies. They were actually taken away the opportunity to go to Rio to compete in the Olympics. So for them, it's a huge tournament on the back of an emotional Hong Kong.
Pressure comes in from New Zealand, but penalty to South Africa. Hauled back, not taking it quite from the mark. There is Paul Delport, coach of South Africa.
Okay.
He looks terrified.
Okay.
See if South Africa can find something here. But again, even with ball, it goes wrong there, and now under horrible pressure from the swarming black shirts, but South Africa still have it. And given back by Louise Webb, but it's loose now, and was that a half a touchdown there? Broughton putting the pressure
Take it back
on.
over.
Just got to make a couple of replacements waiting in the wings here. The sort of core skills under pressure of the passing, South Africa, their own undoing there. I might say Broughton with a bit of a shove in the back of Mokwai.
It's their scrum because you've taken it back over. Yeah. Okay, cool. Just drop back because
So New Zealand with the scrum because South Africa are deemed to have taken it back over their own try line. A couple of minutes remaining.
Crouch.
And New Zealand threatening. Perfect position here. If South Africa can emerge from this, they'll have done very well. Little switch of play, and then the step. A bit of direct power, and a try is there. Kelly Brazier it is. Had support outside but didn't need it, and New Zealand moving beyond 40 points once again.
Well, we're seeing Brazier's left foot step there, going back inside the scrum half. Plenty of space from where the three forwards have just been. She dances away over the try line. And it's a great score. I mean, that left foot step's been seen time and time again. You know it's coming, you just can't stop it.
Well, South Africa will probably start slight favourites the way they've played this season in the men's event, but in the women's they're some way adrift of the favourites, New Zealand and Australia. The men's event beginning tomorrow, when the women's pool stage will be concluded, the third and final match. That's not going to go 10 metres. And so South Africa will have possession in the centre of the field. New Zealand 45-0 winners over Kenya in their opening match, and heading for a similar scoreline against South Africa. I think one of the most gratifying things from their point of view will be they haven't conceded a single try yet. Pass fired out, but Mokwai unable to take it. And New Zealand will probably have the final attack in this match. It's actually quite a good pass. It was zipped out there flat and fast, but Mokwai unable to gather.
Yeah, simple coaching point. You've got to meet the ball rather than let it come across your chest. I mean, this is top level sevens, but it's foundations of rugby coaching at its finest.
There's sort of an inexorable march of both New Zealand and Australia towards the final, you would think, the way they both play. Well, stranger things can happen, though.
No advantage.
And that is an end to things, so not quite the 45-0 of their opening match, but New Zealand continue their imperious, unchallenged march in this pool. They're well clear at the top. 41-0 winners over South Africa.